Well, certainly this is one of the hot topics in the corporate world today. On the 18th, General Motors, of course, announced their IPO, the long-awaited IPO, and then also announced on top of that a changing of the guard, and I might say again. They've been through the new announcement of a new CEO taking over from Whitaker would be the fourth CEO in less than 4 years. So the changing of the guard is probably appropriate comment here. Obviously, GM is in the process of remaking the corporation, and that's no small task. It's a company in transition, which we've heard many, many times before, and that is a truism, I think. A little recent history, they've had a very difficult last few years, losing the number one position to Toyota in the automotive world, losing an astounding $88 billion before the bankruptcy filing in the last 4 years, and then the filing of the bankruptcy about a year ago. And in that process, receiving $50 billion in a bailout from the federal government. They've also gone through a very severe pruning of their product lines, eliminating products like the Hummer, Pontiac, Saturn, and a few others, I think. And as I said, going through 4 CEOs in less than 4 years. That's a challenge for any company, no matter how big or good they are. Ed Whitaker, the federal government appointed CEO, just announced his retirement recently, rather unexpectedly. The thought was he was going to stay on until 2011, and then later during that time frame announced the IPO. So the IPO seems to be announced a little bit ahead of time. And then effective 9/1, an executive from the telecom industry, Daniel Akerson will be the new CEO. So you've got the announcing of an IPO, the resignation of the current CEO, and the announcement of a new CEO right on top of each other, which one might say, is this a good thing? Is the timing right here? And we say timing is everything. And there are lots of questions, even in the investment community, about this. The Federal Treasury wants to bring its share of ownership from a 61% ownership in GM down to 50%. And there's 500 million, GM shares outstanding. So there's a lot of shares on the table, but not all exactly will be up for sale. So the question is the timing right for the IPO offering? Some would say yes, some would say no. There's allegedly some political points to be scored by the administration if they announce they're successful, and let's say the IPO is successful prior to the November midterms. So that's on the table right now. The facts are auto industry is improving. We don't expect it to hit 13 million units this year as it did in 2008, but it is improving. However, the real question is, will Wall Street look at this particular IPO offering favorably, and will they be enticed to really push the IPO? And some of the experts on Wall Street say that it's too early. So should GM wait, or should they go ahead? They're expecting the IPO to take place someplace in October, mid to late October, conveniently right before the midterm elections. This should raise between $15 and $16 billion and will probably be the largest stock offering in U.S. history. General Motors has been profitable 2 quarters in a row. Their mid-year profit is $2.2 billion. It's the first profit picture they've had in some 6 years. They've repaid $6.7 billion of the government loan. They made significant changes in their top-level executive structure, brought in people from the outside, which is a good idea. And as I said before, pruned some of the unprofitable products from the product line. Full-year profitability, according to GM executives, looks good. The plants are operating in North America about 93% capacity, and the margins on the vehicles are improving. So again, timing is everything, they say, and the real question is the timing of this particular IPO the right time to maximize the return on the IPO sale? I guess that's the jury's still out on that. And the final question is the administration really pushing this politically to score some points, I suppose?